Hello, everyone. For me, feminism is a social movement with the main goal to achieve equality between men and women. And I'm both hands in favor of it, and the idea is really cool. In our game called Real Life, female characters appall year after year, which ended up making them just them fight. But what was my surprise when I discovered TikTok for myself? Yes, I recently just discovered TikTok for the first time, and it was on. Women are oppressed by all men being assholes. One girl even says she feels like a man, so everyone should address her using male pronouns. It turns out, flip-flopped. Feminism, since the original idea of feminism was laid down. The purpose of nurturing men and women as equal members of society in the legal field. Okay, they're chanting. They're tweeting something. They're recording it. TikTok-y. What a danger to us. And that's because modern chemism is very good at camouflage. They've essentially taken the same old movement in its entirety and replaced just one word. Equality for equality. And this fundamentally changes the whole meaning of their activities. I mean, let's be honest. Everybody's rights are equal today. I would even say women have even more, but that's not what we're talking about. So when there's nothing left to fight for, the savvy activists just started their new campaign for equality, and that's a really big problem. And to understand the depth of the absurdity of this world madness, I will start from the most hated point of all modern themistresses, namely, biology. It just so happens that men and women are biologically arranged differently. Yes, I understand that some girl feels like a man, or vice versa, but biology does not care about your feelings. And in general does not care what kind of iPhone you have, what kind of movie can give Oscar, what kind of clothes you wear. People are just a consequence of the development of a simple cell, which had the only purpose of reproduction. Everything else didn't make sense, and the way modern humans are structured is a consequence of evolution. It is simply the form of life that can reproduce as efficiently as possible, and efficiency is not just a quantitative value. Here, the qualitative factor of the ability to pass on genes to the next generation is important. The ability to evolve, to adapt to different harsh living conditions. But there are creatures that have no sex at all. Nature is a feminist, and it has tried, really tried. But research shows that such organisms cannot pass their genes qualitatively to the next generation, thus precluding evolution. That's exactly why there are such similar yet so different men and women. And I can already imagine feminists exclaiming like this, which means we're just incubators. Of course, yes, it used to be that women didn't have the right to vote in early democracy. Well, we used to still believe in Nelos and Bigfoot, and even earlier people were treated with mercury. Well, it's human nature to make mistakes. But men and women long ago, when they were closer to nature, were that perfect team that complemented each other. They used their strengths to cover each other's weaknesses. After all, it's pretty silly to leave a man at home with the kids while the girl goes mammoth hunting. But that's exactly what modern feminists are trying to do, substituting the concept of equality for equality. They are also trying to make women out of men and women out of men for some reason. We live in a very different time. Now there is no need to hunt mammoths. Take care of the hearth in the cave. For thousands of years, the world existed according to the laws of the force. Who's stronger? You're right. That's why women used to pay attention to healthy, pumped-up men. But the world has changed. Now the world is ruled, no by force, but by intelligence. And if it's real, why can't we use it? It's nonsense. When I hear the arguments of modern femmies and their debates, I just feel myself getting dumber and sinking into that state of the very cage from which it all started. Pay equality. They have statistically calculated that girls are paid less than men, and therefore men conspire to pay women less. But have you even asked the women themselves? I work for a big AIT company, and I am constantly surrounded by women who earn more than me, and not just more. Some of them have salaries that go beyond 10,000 euros, and you think they've kind of broken the system, and that's the exception. No. And I don't even want to broach the subject of a woman being able to go on maternity leave. By doing so, the employer will be obliged to pay her until she makes a profit for the company, and you can have a long discussion. But there is a reality. Capitalism rules the world, and it is based on a simple principle. The more revenue a person brings in, the more valuable that employee is. For capitalism, there is no gender or beliefs. If someone is a highly qualified specialist, he is valued in direct proportion to his contribution to the business. Whether it's a girl or a man simply doesn't matter. And if women could actually be paid less but still do the same work as men just as well, then believe me, companies would hire women exclusively. I also like the ick-doll that soccer players are paid millions and female soccer players are paid pennies. Now back to the fact that people are more intellectually oriented now. Well, of course, soccer players get paid more because women don't like to watch soccer in the least feminine way. They place bets, they don't buy tickets, they don't pay for online broadcasts. And of course, they are less valuable assets to the industry than soccer players. If now, all girls will sharply start watching women's soccer, believe me, they will get even more than men. Well, now we come to the main weapon of modern feminists. After all, to strengthen their positions, they today, in addition to equality between men and women, also defend the rights of minorities like gays and lesbians, transsexuals and other non-binary minorities, or whatever it is properly called. And there's also a body positive in there somewhere. The second thing is when this distortion is caused by certain social factors. If a child is raised by dogs from a small age, then after a while he will feel himself a dog, will bark, go under a bush, and run with his family in the forest. And if such a child is offered to be surgically transformed into a full-fledged dog, he will happily agree. Well, okay, that's a topic for a separate video. But what is the main threat of modern feminism in this context? And in the fact that they promote a very scary idea that there is a sex and there is a gender about them, divides. And they've developed a whole non-binary system of gender. The main idea, which is that humans are deeper and bigger than their nature, genetics. Biology, call it what you want. Roughly put, man defines his own essence and defines who he is. If you are by all biological measures, a woman, this is no argument at all. A man claims to feel like a man. And this idea is a ticking time bomb. After all, if it is accepted by the society, it will destroy most of the legal field, which already works through one place. Children. Is there in such a society 45-year-old man will be tried for rape of minors? Him. He's gonna stand up with his head held high and say, I actually feel like a 9-year-old girl. I was just playing with them. It's a dead end. You send a guy like that to juvie. I think he'll be glad you did. What about women's rights? How will you regulate that? And if, God forbid, this man is found mentally ill, the feminists would immediately exclaim, it's not mental illness. You want to make us mentally ill. You oppress our rights. And if Cristiano Ronaldo were to declare tomorrow that he's Cristiano Ronaldo and just go and play solo for the strongest soccer teams, and you'd be watching. Absurd, because that's how he feels. You have to respect his non-bin personality, and you can forget about respecting other athletes. Because this whole system of non-binary identities just destroys the rights of people who don't classify themselves as minorities. Eh? If they sweep it up in that vein, they are immediately all oppressors. This whole idea that people can determine their age, sex, gender, and other qualities by their own feelings is absurd. This is all being discussed in all seriousness at the highest levels of the media sphere, legislative bodies, and the scientific community. I feel like a 70-year-old pensioner, an old man, an invalid. I actually woke up this morning with a leg cramp. The cramp was very painful, and I felt the effects of it all the way through the evening. My back hurts, and in general and tired lately, I feel really old, so that I now someone will start paying me a pension or assign me a disability with payments. If not, what's the point of this whole non-bar system of self-determination anyway? Because the main goal of modern feminism is to legitimize all these non-binary systems that are based on an individual's personal feelings. And I don't even know if that's written as bullshit sounds like bullshit then. It probably is nonsense. The main thing we all need to realize is that we are human beings first and foremost, and we need to respect everyone. And dividing ourselves into all these minority groups only alienates us from each other. And in conclusion, I'll end with a catchphrase. I don't know who the hell it is. Whoever wants to jerk off the way he wants to jerk off. No one needs to impose their own style of jerking off. Thank you all.